Okay, for this last piece, we're going to talk about nonprofit versus for-profit. A couple of you asked me specifically to talk about that. I believe you're in societies where really social work and providing a nonprofit service is really needed. So I think it's totally appropriate, and I think it's wonderful that you're considering it. So let's talk about that a little bit. I think the first thing you need to determine for yourself is why do you want to go into nonprofit. The reason is here in North America, there are some organizations that call themselves nonprofit, but they're definitely for profit. In fact, there was a scandal just a few years ago. Is one of the biggest nonprofit organizations. They really work in a lot of different segments. You know, they have children and food, and I mean they claim to have quite a bit of domain. This again, I can't name, but this is one of the biggest in North America. And the scandal was that financial records came out that the executives at this nonprofit organizations, they were drawing $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 salaries. They had $1 million bonuses. They were traveling first class on private jets, staying in 5-star hotels all over the world. It was ridiculous. Somebody calculated something like 50% of the donations went towards the administrative expenses. So since then, there has been a little bit more scrutiny in how nonprofit entities are looked at. In fact, many now post their expenses on their websites. Some present their expenses, or administrative expenses as they're called, in a percentage. So they would say, or they would post that only 10% of donations go to administrative expenses. There are a few that actually claim that 100% of donations go to the cause. So somebody really specifically pays the administrative expenses. So again, the reason you go into nonprofit, you really got to be clear. You're going into to help a cause. There's nothing flashy about it. You're not going to be rich doing it, and it's a lot of hard work. And in that regard, I think it's very admirable that one would consider starting a nonprofit entity. Now, in that regard, you got to keep in mind that when it comes to finances, the nonprofit organizations are treated just like for-profit. There are tax advantages for sure, which are really cumbersome and long, which we're not going to go into. But when it comes to calculating income and revenue and expenses, they're just like for-profit. Okay, except the revenue comes from donation as opposed to providing a service or selling a product. So the rest of it, you're really accountable. In this case, you're accountable to your donors to show how you're spending their money. In a for-profit organization, you can make as much money as you want. If you're a business owner, you can set salaries reasonably high based on the income that you're able to generate, and nobody can question you. But in a nonprofit, it is not like that. In a nonprofit, you can have a very successful nonprofit entity, lots of donations, lots of support from really people who support your cause, but you still draw a very minimum salary for yourself. And in that regard, you got to be cautious of that. So you're just as much responsible for the bottom line in a nonprofit organization as you are in a for-profit organization. So in that regard, both entities really function in the same way. Okay, that's it for this week. The assignments for this week, it's going to be on the portal. But just to elaborate on it a little bit, I want you to really write to me, write a 2-page document letting me know how you would start a consulting business. We're kind of wrapping up this course right now you're going to write about how you're going to start a consulting business. Eventually, we're going to get to a business plan. So think about that. Again, don't send me business plans, okay? This is about your idea on how you would start a consulting business, the different steps that you would take, how you really unveil and how you're going to roll out a consulting business, okay? If you're an owner, same thing. Many business owners go into consulting because they get really good at what they do, and they bring that information to others who are thinking about working in the same industry. So if you're a business owner, if you were going to consult your colleagues, or if you're going to consult people in your industry, what would you do? How would you start that? Okay. So I hope that's clear. If you have any questions, drop me a line. And I wish all of you a good week, and I'll see you next week.